My ex-wife just lost custody of the children. She also lost alimony, and you might be wondering, well, why this is happening. It's because she went to my work, found me behind the bushes, and she jumped me, started beating me to a pulp, and guys, here I am to tell my story, and it's pretty crazy.
I'm Chris. I was married to my ex-wife Rose for 5 years before we recently just got divorced. We have a 4-year-old daughter, and we have some common property. Before our marriage, we dated for a year or so, and then I proposed to her and she agreed. From my mid to late 20s, I went through some major health issues, so I had a huge career gap. You can say I started my career in my 30s, and when we got married, I was jobless. Rose was the breadwinner of our family at first, so the beginning of our relationship was just romantic, but our financial issues brought us lots and lots of trouble. After a year, Rose got pregnant and she could not work. By then, I was physically fit, but my career gap was giving me a hard time landing a job in my field. My wife's pregnancy was the cue that I needed to stop looking at jobs in my field and just get whatever I could find, so I took a job as a truck driver. Well, I'm not perfect, and after our marriage, some terrible things happened, but I consistently tried to be better. In the beginning, she also was good, I loved her, and she was quite supportive in the difficult points of our life. But from time of pregnancy, it became worse, but I thought it was her pregnancy hormones, and after that, she'll get back to normal, but it did not happen. She became extremely demanding. She would constantly call me useless and would claim I wasted her life by getting her pregnant. Her nagging, it got so extreme that she would even show me some designer jewelry or bag that was above my league and would throw a tantrum if I failed to get it for her. I used to overwork myself just to fulfill her wishes. After the birth of my daughter, she did not go back to work, but she also refused to take care of her child. So, at one point, I was taking care of our daughter in the daytime, and at night I had to retire, hire a babysitter with my little wage that I had. She was always on her phone, and whenever we would talk, we argued. At this point, I really was thinking about getting a divorce, because she was furious all the time about our daughter and her behavior. She was only 1.5 years of age, and seemed to be strongly unhappy about it. But I thought we could go through with it and just decided to give it one more try. I asked her to see a therapist and she agreed. I thought if this helps, we will have a happy little family again. It looked like they helped because after a few sessions with the therapist, she was calmer than before. So I also tried to do my best to arrange more money just to keep the sessions going so she could find her peace again. Well, for a couple of years, we were slowly getting back to our peaceful self. Our physical intimacy was almost non-existent, but I was okay with it because I thought it would slowly revive. She was still ignorant about our daughter, but it's okay, because I'd started a small import-export business by renting a few trucks. It was quite successful, and I even hired a permanent nanny for my daughter. I used to give her designer items that she once wanted, and I was just happy that I've started fulfilling her needs now. Even after a few years, she still was going to the therapy sessions, saying it calms her mind, and I didn't argue with that. The main reason became clear when one day I was feeling sick at work, so I decided to go back home and rest. When I entered the living room, I saw Rose's phone. It was on the table. I thought she probably left it by mistake when she was leaving for her session. I was about to ignore it, but constant text notifications were coming in, so I thought it might be an emergency. I picked up the phone, and it was from none other than the therapist. He wanted to know where she was and how much time it would take to get there. Well, I was about to answer him, but then I noticed the past texts that they exchanged with each other. Well, to my surprise, it was full of flirtatious text messages, and guys, it was crystal clear to me. She's cheating on me with the therapist? So, her making new friends, going out, and occasionally staying over, well, you can chalk that up as a lie. I was totally lost. When she realized, she left her phone and came back to take it, only to see me sitting on the sofa with her phone right there in my hand. The horror In her eyes was evident that she was a cheater. I told her I knew about her and him. Without wanting any explanation from her, I proposed a divorce. She said she didn't want to. She pleaded that she would stop it instantly, and she started cheating during our hard times, and wanted to stop but did not. But once a cheater, always a cheater, right? I always thought cheating in any form was the end of the relationship, and when she realized I would get divorced the next day, she took our joint bank credit card and just emptied it. This was clear that our relationship was only for the sake of money, and she was trying to milk out as much as she could before putting her foot into the court. I know there's no future for us, so I filed for a divorce, and I thought I would get custody of my daughter if I told the court that she was a cheater. But that's not how it works in our state. You know, courts always leave the child with the mom. On the other hand, she flipped on the court, saying I didn't take care of our child and her needs, and I'm incapable of taking care of a baby. The court saw my history of illness and joblessness, and also pointed out the fact that she had to take care of the household at the beginning. With all the lies combined with my past incapabilities, the court preferred the mother to stay with the child instead of me. My daughter was still very young, so the court thought a mother would be better to take care of her. We got settled for alumni and child support too, and I got to see my daughter during the weekend, and she told me her mother is never home and her new nanny is taking care of her. So I was constantly worried for her. One day I got an invitation from my daughter's school, to attend her annual school function. They'll have a father-daughter duo performance, so the school authority asked me to make some time that week for rehearsal. I was excited to share the moment with my daughter. It was the day of the function, and I was getting ready to leave for work, and I got sudden calls from Rose. It was not the weekend, so I panicked, worrying about my daughter. She was crying on the phone, saying Joy was suddenly feeling unwell and she was trying to take her to the hospital. But she forgot to bring the cash that was needed to be deposited, and she needs it ASAP. She didn't know who to call, so you know what? She called me. Without even giving a single thought, I took the money out of my locker and dashed out of the location that Rose had shared. The location ended in an abandoned parking lot near the hospital. I was confused as to why she was in the parking lot, but then I thought probably because she didn't give us space in the hospital's parking lot. I was about to get out of the car suddenly, and I felt somebody from the back hit my car. I had to jump out of the car and just get out, and fell on the concrete with so much force that I broke my hands. Guys, I was on the floor, groaning in pain, and nobody came out of the car to help me. So I pretended to faint, and after about 10 minutes, a woman came out, and it was just as I thought, Rose. She was checking if I was breathing and if my heartbeat was working, and after reassuring herself that I was breathing, she took out the money from my car and left. Her greed for money made her do this. I never thought she would physically target me for money. I need to report her to the police. But before that, I need to fix myself. Thankfully, the hospital was nearby, so it wasn't hard for me to get there. They told me I had a mild fracture in my hand, so instead of taking me in, they just patched me up and let me go after a few hours, making sure that I did not have a concussion. After filling a report of the police out, I headed to my daughter's school. It was almost evening time. We'll be performing a song together, and I waited backstage with my daughter, waiting for our turn. When we finally were in the middle of the stage, I heard a loud gasp from the front row. I knew who it was from it, and it seemed like somebody did not expect me there. I knew at any moment the police would come to arrest Rose. I gave them the address of the school because I knew that she would be here today, and they came just after we finished the performance. Well, everybody was curious about the chaos happening in the front row, and I saw Rose getting into a handcuff and the man beside her looking at her in disbelief and disappointment. When I was about to get into my car with my daughter after the function, the man approached me and said that he wanted to talk to me. The man introduced himself as Rose's boyfriend. Apparently, Rose told her boyfriend that I'm dead and she's a single mom. On many occasions, she's taken a big amount of money from him, and out of pity, he helped her as well. I mean, he was thinking about taking their relationship to the next level, and this is why he wanted to attend her daughter's ceremony, just to get her to know her a little bit better. Now, guys, I've connected the dots. Why Rose would want to hurt somebody for a small amount of money? She didn't want me to be in the function, because she was about to be revealed to her boyfriend. She could milk out more money from him than me, so she thought getting me out of the way was a viable option. Now she's in police custody. I'm waiting for the hearing date, and Joy is living with me currently. She said she loves to stay here more, and I've decided to fight for her custody. Her boyfriend already left her, and I'll make sure to take my daughter from her as well, so that she doesn't use her anymore as a prop to milk. For some money from men. Thinking about her old self made me feel pity for her. Is it because of me she turned out like this? Is it okay that I've decided to take away everything from her? Of course, I can't let her go on after using my daughter as a prop. But a piece of my mind is still conflicted. I would really appreciate some suggestions or opinions at this point. Anyways, I will update you guys soon enough. Update number 1. Hey guys, a month has passed and I finally have some updates to share. Some people have given some suggestions and I'm thankful for it. For those who said taking the child away from her mother is harsh, first of all, she was not taking care of her. It was her nanny, and my daughter used to complain about how she never gave her time and never took her anywhere. Even when we were married, it was the same. She used to live in the house for 24 hours, but she never cared to even look at her, according to Rose. She's the one reason her dreams were destroyed. After observing her treatment towards my daughter, the judge has ordered her to stay away from my daughter. When she's an adult, it'll be up to her if she wants to be in touch with her mom. Some also said that I blame myself for her money-minded mentality. Well, to some point, I guess that could be true. I used to, but not now. My wife is finally in jail now, and she'll be there for a year. On the day of her hearing, she tried to escape from the punishment with a bunch of lies. As I expected, but I had proof of her deeds. Fortunately, the abandoned parking lot had CCTV still all over, causing someone, was using it as storage, I guess. I got the footage of her driving in my direction and crashing it. She almost could have gotten out of it because, from the angle, her number plate was not visible. But she got out of the car to check if it was still breathing. Yeah, I know, she's dumb. I also filed to get custody of my daughter, and after they checked my income status, my living, and my criminal record, I owned the custody. The nanny, who was currently looking after her, disclosed in front of the court that her mother hardly stayed in the home, and it was all her who was taking care of her all along. I met her ex-boyfriend at a cafe when I was there with my daughter. The recent realization was shocking for him. He'll need some time to move on from everything, and I even advised him to do a background check before falling for someone else. The next day after her sentencing, I got a call from the jail. She was calling me, requesting to meet me, but obviously I denied it. I said I had nothing to do with her. But she was pleading again and again, and I had no choice but to agree. The next day, when I went there, she said that she tried to contact her boyfriend, but he broke up with her and refused to bail. As I was the reason behind her being behind bars, I would be the one bailing her out. I told her it was her and her greed that caused her current situation, not me. She should stay behind bars until she realizes that money is not everything. When she realized she could not get money out of me, she threatened me that she would never let me live in peace again. The one person in my life I thought I would spend my life with has treated me worse than anyone ever has in my entire life. I want to scream at her and vent about why she did all these things from the very beginning, but it would just fall on deaf ears. I have my daughter to look after now, and I'm very excited about it. Also, a little scared because of the threat. After the parking lot incident, I could tell that she could do anything to get what she wanted. Update number 2. I never thought I would have to update my story again, but I still cannot get rid of my ex-wife completely, so here I am. It's been a year already, and I had a normal life so far, taking care of my daughter until Rose came back. Since then, she had scorched the earth to our lives, and I've heard that she's in a relationship with a police officer now. I'm sure that she owned his heart with pity parties and lies, and through his help, she also landed a job. However, I could not be careless. I thought she was looking forward to living a normal life, until I started receiving abusive and threatening letters recently. See, Rose was hellbound to have the last word. I've received a letter from her lawyer for a cease and desist. She tried to win her ex-boyfriend back after returning from jail. But obviously, he refused because of the truth that I told him about when she was married to me. Because of her criminal record, she was also denied a job at the old company that she used to work at. The letter was basically a blabber of her anger and ego just to stop telling others what she did. The letter did not have any specified date to sign, so I just ignored it. Most of her vents are lies anyways, and the funny thing about the letter is that it's probably not from a real lawyer, because of the amount of grammatical mistakes. I mean, come on. The writer behind it probably didn't even do a double check for a few dollars. However, I know that she just wanted a reaction out of me, and I refused to give her one. A few days later, she started harassing the nanny that I hired for my daughter. I've hired the same nanny who used to stay with her in her mom's house. So she and my daughter were both very fond of each other. So once when my ex-wife saw her in a supermarket, she accidentally spilled that she's still her nanny. She tried to get into our house a few times when I was out and forcefully tried to get my daughter. But when I threatened to report her to the police again if I saw her near my house, she tried to harass and bribe the nanny on the streets to bring the daughter to her. I had no choice but to report her again. The nanny still had bruises from when Rose tried to forcefully grope her. In the end, she was charged with several penalties, including a fine, probation for getting near any three of us, and also some jail time. I'm sure her police friend boyfriend will bail her out this time. As long as she's out of my business, it's none of my concern. Well, guys, I'm hoping this ends soon. I strongly think that she has borderline personality disorder. See, she was under lots of medication before, but I believe the amount has now increased. I think she's probably under the impression of drugs or marijuana, 'cause there's no explanation for this behavior. I want to move on, but she's not letting me. Because nowadays I'm getting threatening letters anonymously. It's just full of crap, and I don't know, should I just ignore it or take it to the police again for further investigation? I would appreciate any kind of advice or words of encouragement from you guys. Update number 3. Hey, it's been a month already, and I do appreciate many people's advice. It was really helpful because many were concerned, so, I thought I would give an update. As many of you guys suggested, reporting it to the police, well, I did so for the sake of me and my daughter's safety. They're still investigating, by the way. I don't receive those letters nowadays, though. So I've stopped bothering about it, and I even came here for the pointless rant. Even though I don't want it, we still have mutual friends with my ex-wife, and they constantly give relationship updates about my ex-wife. They don't understand. I don't like to hear those, because I simply don't care. Thinking back about the life I had with her when we were married still shocks me. I mean, how I managed to survive that long, I don't know. There was a time when we were walking back home and she saw a necklace worth around $2,000 and demanded that I buy that for her. That was the day after I got the job as a truck driver. I promised her I would bring that necklace to her at the end of the month, with my first salary, and she even argued with me, and we did not even talk for a few days. At the end, I got sick of the silent behavior. I took a loan, and then at the end of the week, when I got her necklace, instead of being happy, she threw it on my face, saying it's not in trend anymore. Well, she was pregnant at the time, so I didn't say a word. But it's funny that her reaction is more violent now. I also forgave her for taking money just after realizing that we weren't going to get a divorce. I should have asked for the money, but the toxic woman is so scary now that I don't even want to mingle with her with any issue. By the way, I was considering giving into dating life again. I didn't want to do it till now because my ex is unpredictable. So I didn't want to involve any other person until she calmed down and just left me alone to peace. I was really regretting involving the nanny in the situation, and I'm sure it's my ex who was sending me those letters. Even though it's stopped now, I need to see the end of it. Do you guys think that it's too soon to start dating? Let me know. Updates number 4. Hey guys, I didn't think that I would be updating, but it's been almost a year. I don't think my posts are something too important to keep in your memory, but hey, I figured it might give a tiny bit of hope to those who have been suffering as I did. In the past year, my life has changed the ways that I thought it never could. I stopped receiving anonymous threats but after the investigation, it turned out that it was in fact my ex who tried to send me those threats. She got caught, and this time police were sure that she needed mental help. She was using her policeman boyfriend's profiles to send some of those threats through social media. Her boyfriend thought that he could get fired any time for her, so he just left her too. A few months ago, she called me with an unknown number to inform me that she's in a mental hospital right now. She was diagnosed with BPD and bipolar. She was still crying and asking me to get her out of there. She did everything that she could to make me look soft. She even threatened to harm herself and pity, sorry, when I was just emotionless. She even tried to make me feel jealous by telling me how many times she slept with the therapist of hers when we were together. She was doing everything in her power in the hope of a fresh start and getting back with me. Before she got any further, I told her right away I didn't want her, and I was already seeing somebody else and we were expecting a baby. Well, she was hurt, and she had nothing to say, so she just hung up. That was the last time I heard from her, and even if I was single, I would have zero interest in her. I'm living a better life now without her, and she can see it. I'm financially stable and have a happy life with my girlfriend and my daughter. It might kill her from the inside and just look petty, but I'm happy. She is remorseful, selfish beast who only knows destruction, and I have zero regrets for her. By the way, thanks for the advice you guys have gave me upon asking. It was too soon to get into dating for a few months, though. I've been seeing this woman now, and I'm happy. I feel connected to her. We love listening to each other's opinions, and we have the same thoughts about how we want to lead our life in the future. Well, on a side note, it was a lie that we were expecting a baby, which I told my ex just to shut her up. I have a strong feeling that this relationship will work out, mainly because we communicate, and my daughter is also so fond of her. I still sometimes think about my ex, but, not romantically or emotionally. I feel sad for myself that I thought that we would work out, and for that reason I've wasted so much time with her. I finally feel a purpose in this life. Looking at the eyes of my daughter and my girlfriend, I'll be holding them close to my arms and looking forward to a better future.